Okay, here we go again. In all due respect, Mike is here with me today. As you know, I indicated when we started this whole thing, we were going to do a series on Mike Strickland and the issues that were involved with the downtown whatever issue aspect of it.
But for lack of a better term.
And we I think we just broke off at the point that you'd done a piece, and then we sort of like just there, and then so now we're going to go into the next issue, if you will, or the next incident aspect of it, at least happening during that incident, something to that effect. So I'm just going to get Mike right on in there, and then by the way, you can just check on YouTube and you'll see it right there. It'll be posted, and then naturally he'll be here maybe probably next week or whatever, and then we'll go to the next one. But now let's go. This is series number 3. I got about 3 incidents. We got 2 before, right? We did 2 before. I think we did two pieces before. We did a long one.
Right. Yeah.
So we got 3. We're on number 3.
Yeah.
Series number 3. Okay. So Mike, where are we now? What's up?
Well, you know, a lot of people look at this case as more of a Second Amendment case, whereas I actually like to bring up the First Amendment aspects of the case,
which is
because you know,
freedom of speech,
freedom of the press. You know, and I look at this case equally as a First Amendment case as a Second Amendment case, and it's like, you know, does a person have the right to be in a public area filming a public event in free exercise of their First Amendment rights to freedom of the press? But I don't think there's anybody who's going to argue that a person doesn't have that right. So if a person has that right, then does a mob of thugs wearing masks and carrying sticks have the right to use physical force to stop that person from engaging in their First Amendment rights? Is there anybody who's going to say that a mob of thugs have that right?
But why did they pick you in Portland, Oregon? Because I've seen situations where they've had the rights, and I saw cameramen, and I see people out there, but why you in Portland, Oregon? Why did they pick you?
Because I show what really happens at these things, and a lot of the other media doesn't. You know, and I post it up in such a raw, in-your-face kind of way. That's why the protesters don't like me. You know,
well, I can see the value in it. You got my point, because I've known you for quite some time. You know what I mean, and you know, indirectly, I'm basically doing the same thing. I mean, I don't get promoted on major media. You got my point. It's a community kind of a deal, but it's more real and raw than it is in the commercial side. You know, when you look at the news as compared to my interview that I just did, in fact, with the Mexican community as opposed to the Hispanic community, but I got a lot of that education piece. But there was no one. The commercial piece would never do this kind of thing, and you're doing the same thing. I mean, when I look at the news, because I know you, and because I'm in the business too. I'm sort of a journalist in my own right. But when I see you, I see journalism. You got it? Because I know I got a better feel for it. So therefore, if I want to do something on a particular issue, like that, I know the names of the people, I see what's going on, and then now I can interview someone that can bring value to the table. Bottom line. Okay.
So if we could go ahead and roll that multicam video there.
All right. Okay.
So here's what actually happened. This was July 7th, 2016.
Okay. As soon as it comes on, you're going to talk about it. Okay. Here we go.
So my first person angle is in the bottom left corner there.
All right.
On the bottom right corner is the Nate Millsap video. He was standing on the ledge of the Justice Center. Of course, on the top there are 2 different angles of security cameras from the Hatfield building. You can see right now on the top right, and now zooming in on the top left there, there's a bunch of masked thugs there, and they're huddling up.
Those are black uniforms, right?
Yep. Those are the
black and green. What's that all about?
It's one of their anarchist flags. So they were huddling up there to formulate their plan to come and attack me. And then, you know, you can shift your attention now to the bottom left screen, my first-person video. You know, these guys are coming straight into the crowd. They have their masks on. They're carrying sticks. They start to encircle me from behind, led by a guy who weighs 400 pounds. He's literally twice my size. These guys start pushing and shoving me. They start screaming at me, these obscenities, screaming at me to get out of a public area that I have every right to be in. So, I start retreating immediately because obviously these guys mean business and I'm not there to fight or anything. And you can see Nate Millsap realized that there was something going on, so he flipped his camera around. You can see all these people crowding up on me. A bunch of other people come jumping down from the ledge there.
On the screen, what were we seeing? Are we looking at all the photos?
Yeah, this is all synced up. This is all at the same time here. Yeah.
So you're at the bottom right, right?
Yeah, so Carenza there, Ben Carenza is the very, very large guy who started it all. He had separated from the crowd, and then as my attention was diverted to my right towards the bulk of the mob was, he starts coming up on my blind side. And at that point, I had every reason to believe that he, along with these other people, were just seconds away from flattening me into the pavement, robbing me of my camera equipment and my computer gear that I had with me. I had tried retreating. I had issued verbal commands for them to leave me alone. I had inverted my monopod to use as sort of a non-lethal option of sorts in case they were going to hit me with their sticks or fists. I'd at least have, something to use to sort of parry that. I had exercised all these other options.
But tell me this. Now, on the commercial side of it, when they film them, they do nothing with them. I mean, my point is that they feel that I'm just throwing this out to you. They can, because they have a right to, because that's what they get. They get the right to demonstrate, right? And then the bottom line is that, but why is it they have this deal about you not having the same right that they have?
I don't know.
And that the other commercial TVs are filming them, right?
The other guys have started getting assaulted at some of these things during the election week riots.
Right. Okay.
I guess coming up on 2 years ago, the mainstream guys, altered the way that they were covering these things.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I was the one arrested. I was the one charged with crimes. These guys who started the fight, they're considered the innocent victims. And, I'm trying to explain to the police that, these guys had me surrounded. They started pushing and shoving me. I was acting in self-defense, and police didn't care anything about what I had to say. And it's just so interesting here. It's like, my actions were solely in self-defense. And clearly Benjamin Carenza, who, by the way, has a very lengthy criminal history, he's been in and out of federal prison 3 times, in and out of numerous county jails over the years. Clearly his actions meet the criminal statutory definitions of coercion, because he's using physical force to prevent someone from engaging in a right. Riot, because he's doing this with 5 or more people. Some level of assault and harassment and other things, And so, that's the way I look at this. Is mob violence legal now? Does mob violence take precedent over First Amendment rights to freedom of the press?
Well, on that same point, when I think about the kind of work that you do, my immediate attention comes to my going into a store and looking at all the magazines and paparazzi. You got to use all kinds of terms aspect of it, and you see some very interesting shots of different things, even visual kind of a situation. But there's not. I'm still coming right back to you here in Portland, basically doing the same thing, and it's acceptable. Well, I mean, even with the crowds, they get pissed off, but they don't want to get into no physical kind. But they get pissed off, and a lot of times people just like the idea that the film that is being videoed or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to ask them about that. But so I was the one arrested.
Yeah.
They had me in the back of the paddy wagon all night long.
Wow.
They let me go on my own recognizance, but I was to show up for my arraignment the next day. Now, I'm thankful that everybody stopped when I drew.
Okay.
Everybody stopped and or got
That's
back. I did not have to actually fire a round, which I'm very thankful for. I was taught to shoot until the threats have been neutralized. In this case, the mere act of drawing is what neutralized the threats. So I'm very thankful that I did not have to, that nobody came running up on me during that point. So I show up for my arraignment here the next day, and this Deputy District Attorney, Kate Molina is her name, she decides to now up these charges to felonies, and she's going to ask the judge to raise my bail.
Now, is this a federal?
No, this is county charges.
County.
So, and she's going to ask the judge to raise my bail to $250,000, all for a guy who didn't harm so much as a fly. So the proceeding actually gets going here. And she pulls out this phony police report that I didn't even know existed, that was filed by a guy named John Slaughter, whom I hardly even know. My only experience with Slaughter was he was part of a group of people who were screaming and yelling at me at a different event a few weeks prior.
Was he white or black?
He's black. I mean, you know, I don't really.
But I'm making the point,
right?
Because that is an issue,
right? Okay, well, and here that gets into that. So John Slaughter is claiming in this police report that I had been sending him threatening race-based text messages and voicemails, and that I had driven by his house with my hand in the shape of a gun pointing at him. You know, I barely know who this guy is.
Did they have the facts?
No, this is this guy spouting off. As far as I'm concerned, this is a false report.
Okay.
So the evening that he's claiming that I drove by his house with my hand in the shape of a gun, I was at home caring for not one but 2 cats that needed medical attention. You know, one of them was the outdoor stray cat in the neighborhood who had hurt his arm or leg. And so I had to keep him inside on medication all week as he was healing up. You know, so I didn't even know this police report existed. So Kate Molina pulls this out and then starts claiming, with video cameras running from mainstream news in front of the judge, not only lying about these things that John Slaughter is claiming, but Kate Molina starts making claims that I have ties to these white supremacist groups in the area. And I'm sitting there going, where is she getting this stuff from? You know, it's like the gall for her to try to call me a racist. Kate Molina, how many black folks have I sent to prison? The answer to that would be 0. How many black folks have you sent to prison, Kate Molina? How about just this month? How about on the year? How about for your career? Is it dozens? Hundreds? Is it 1,000? Kate Molina, how can you call me the racist when you're the one literally tossing black and brown folks into prison on a daily basis? It's ridiculous.
Now, did you have counsel at that time?
Yes, got an attorney right away.
Did they jump up and oppose? Oh, you didn't have counsel then?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Well, did they jump up and they say, hey, wait a minute?
Yeah, we were arguing back. This took us by total surprise.
Well, I got you.
Because we were not prepared for what she was going to say.
Well, I thought
because
it's normally they would be sharing the information before that happened.
You would think so. You know, she shared a little bit of information. She told us that she was going to slap on 2 felony charges and ask to raise the bail. But all these accusations from John Slaughter, you know, and again, I barely know John Slaughter. I never had any issue with him. You know.
So he wasn't in the stand. I mean, he wasn't seated up there testifying to.
Correct. This was just off a police report.
And this was just her saying, this is what he said to her.
Right.
And then, were you guys in touch with him at all? Were you demanding that he come and
not at that point, because again, this took us so much by surprise. So I got tossed into jail right away. Again, a guy who didn't harm so much as a fly was harmed himself. You know, and you know, I'm just so thankful for a lot of the community support. You know, yourself, so many other people. Have
you had rights.
Realized,
I mean, you had rights. And, and that's what I saw, and that's why I'm thinking. That's
right. And I really appreciate that.
Well, this is community. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, we're just here. Okay, go on, keep going.
So Oregon.
Where is it right now? Where is that right now?
The case.
That particular piece.
The case in general, or
Molina, in terms of the statement, is this something that's
that was something we were able to challenge later on, but at that point in time, I get tossed in jail. So Oregon Firearms Federation started raising money for my legal defense fund, and Kevin Sterrett and those guys, very thankful for that. Hundreds of people across the country were donating to help me out.
Very much involved.
Lars was talking about it.
Lars was very much involved.
One organization though that was conspicuously absent was the NRA.
Really?
They don't want to say anything about this, They did not help at all.
Even the local chapter?
Yeah. When they call out for their little fundraisers, and they're making calls to people, the people will ask them, hey, are you going to do anything to help Mike Strickland? And they're going to say, no, we're not going to help Mike Strickland. He's a criminal.
What?
So if you're an NRA member and you're buying their little carry guard insurance.
They were saying, the NRA was saying
Yes.
Wow.
So if you're an NRA member and you have their carry guard insurance, and you end up in the same situation that I was, if you have to draw in self-defense in Portland, the NRA will not only would not be there for you, they will talk smack about you behind your back.
Really?
So this is something that I think people need to keep in mind when they're trying to decide which organizations to give their money to.
Wow, that's good. Well, maybe we might want to consider, in all due respect, maybe we ought to consider bringing an NRA, maybe a lifetime member or somebody to sit at the table.
There's people who've been cutting up their cards partially because of this, and instead of giving it to the NRA, they're giving it to OFF now, which I think is great.
Wow, that's a very interesting piece. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
and I just want to state here, I had my concealed handgun license for 5 years.
Wow.
So
this is not something you just got 5 minutes ago.
Right. And
I'd
been to hundreds of political events. If I ever went to one of these things with the intention of shooting up a place,
wow.
why don't I ever do it?
Well, I think this might be a good time to break from the standpoint that I think we need to see if we can get another piece from that point on, okay?
Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you for having me.
There you go. Series number 3. We'll see him on series number 4 next
Thanks
week.
for having me.
Okay, buddy. All right. See you next week.